fever. And the only prescription is more cowbell.
I'm Broken System, Broken Trust, and I approve this message.
For legal reasons, that's a joke.
I need that money. I really, really do. I need that money. I really need that money. Really need that money. I need that money. I really, really do. I need that money. I really need that money. Really need that money. Really, that money.
Oh shit. Here we go again.
Welcome back to the channel, my friends. This is a video, oh boy, that I was planning on streaming like last week, but because I was sick, I didn't really have a chance to stream during the day because I was just focused on not dying. So we're going to play this. It doesn't go well, and thankfully, this guy actually kind of gets some consequences. His sentence is actual jail time. Not like, here's probation, I hope I don't see you again, only for them to see them again like a week later. Nope, he gets actual time. And then, gasp, he has a warrant that he's supposed to be extradited to a different state. So, yeah, this sovereign citizen not exactly having the best of time. But, since there's all 19 people here, let me get this out of the way. I have a third channel. Yes, I have a third channel. I literally just released a video on that channel 30 minutes ago. Reading the Room. 861 subscribers. Just saying. If you guys are into that kind of nerd stuff, Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, Warhammer 40K, there you go. That's a channel for you. Go subscribe over there. But, to get to the actual meat and potatoes, here we are. We're going to play this. We're going to play this a bit quicker than usual because it is, yes, an hour and 15 minutes long. So we're going to play it at like 1.2 speed. Oh, and hope for the best. And we're going to hope for the best. Here we go. Let me know if you guys can hear it. Let me know if you guys can hear me.
Stop. I asked you what your name was.
What my name is?
Your name. Do you have
Are you talking to the living man or to the trust?
Which do you want me to talk to?
The trust.
All right. Is the trustee of the trust here?
Then I'm going to talk to the living man because you're here because you are, again, the living fucking man.
Yes, he's sitting. That is you, ma'am.
Oh, no, I'm not any trustee of your trust. I don't know anything about your trust.
We haven't established the status of the court yet, ma'am.
All right. Never mind. We're moving. Deputy at the jail, are you there?
And if you guys do recall, are we really live? Some would say we are live. But I think I have too much teeth, or too many teeth, and don't have a meth problem. I can't say that well. But yeah, if you guys recall, we've actually seen this guy before. It was a shorter case, and he tried this exact same gobbledygook before. Let me actually make me a little bigger down here. There we go. Yeah, if you recall, he tried this exact same thing, and the judge, bless Judge Webster's heart, between her and Judge Perkins out of the 36th District Court in Detroit, I swear they get the most sovereign citizens, so bless her heart. She did exactly what she's doing here. Well, I don't know jack shit about your trust. I'm not no trustee. But he just can't get that through his head.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. I'm going to save him till later, so if you need to put him back for a while, that'd be fine.
Okay.
Kick him to the back.
Thank you. And we'll go back.
And I hate to keep pausing it, but this is exactly what... what am I looking for? This is exactly what happened with Broken System, Broken Trust. When he went to court in Taylor, they would basically say, cool, he's a sovereign citizen, back of the line. I know he's going to just waste time for the sake of time wasting. Back of the line, we don't want to inconvenience everyone else who's normal and actually has a functioning brain. Same thing here. Judge Webster knew he was going to take forever. Back of the line.
What's his name, Deputy?
I apologize.
Mr. Palooza.
Oh, that's Mr. Palooza, who has two cases. Yeah, we'll save him to the last. And all right, I believe Mr. Patterson.
And we're back.
Brings up you and Mr. Palooza.
And judges, standby counsel, I'll whatever the court wants me to do, but I would propose I just leave my screen black and muted until and unless I'm needed.
All right. Well, we will be on the record right now in BU 2026 CR 25 and BU 2026 MR 19. What is that one? Let me look at it. Mr. Patterson, do you know about that case?
I am vaguely aware that there's an extradition case on a misdemeanor, but other than that, I know nothing about it.
So which case are you ready to take up, Mr. Baco, or both?
Your Honor, I do know both are on today. I do think the CR case is going to be the one that takes up most of the time here. The other one's an extradition matter.
All right, so this is not a traffic matter. This is charged as count 1, interference with a law enforcement officer, falsely reporting information intending to obstruct law enforcement. Count 2, possession of marijuana. Count 3, driving while suspended, a second or subsequent conviction. And count 4, unlawful vehicle registration. All right, Mr. Baca, any opening statement?
Your Honor, state would waive any opening statements at this time.
Mr. Patterson, any opening statements from the defense?
Judge, I don't have any part in this, so I'm going to black my screen out.
I'm sorry. Yeah, you probably better. Otherwise, I'll keep calling on you. But before you go, let's talk to the, well, that's fine. All right, Mr. Pelosa, what's going on here? You're wanting to represent yourself, is that right?
Ma'am, we haven't established the status of this court yet. I don't know you. Do you have a valid oath of office?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay, I accept your oath of office and your offer to be my public servant and trustee.
I'm not your trustee in the legal sense or in any sense, sir.
You're a public trustee, ma'am.
Call me what you will, but I'm not accepting it. Go ahead.
I would like you to take notice of the notice and demand that this court has received on Monday, and as the prosecution here to provide evidence from that notice and demand.
Notice in demand, is that what you're saying?
Yes, it was filed on Monday.
Monday, March 22nd. I see that today, no, I see that on March 23rd, that would be Monday. You filed something called Notice and Demand, facts filed by Shelley Flaherty with Loren Court Reporting. Are you claiming to be Shelley Flaherty with Loren Court Reporting? Sir?
No, I'm not claiming that.
Well, that's the only thing I see that's entitled, and it's not. So, fax transmission sheet, date March 23rd, 26, to the clerk of the District Court, Butler County, State of Kansas versus Gary Michael Pelosa, from Shelley Flaherty, Loren Court Reporting, Cape Coral, Florida.
Yeah, that's my notice and demand to the court.
Well, that's 15 pages reportedly by this Miss Flaherty, not you.
I signed it.
Then why did you make demand? Okay. All right, go ahead. What do you want me to consider in this document that doesn't seem to have any Kansas authority in it, does it?
Yes, it does.
Okay, well, you make your argument and show me where that is. Tell me what Kansas law needs applied and how. Go ahead.
I'm challenging territorial jurisdiction. Is the prosecution ready to provide ownership of the locus and quo of this matter at 114 Highway 54 on Andover?
He doesn't have to show that he owns that.
No, the state has to show that. I don't even see the state here, ma'am.
This is one of those points where I can't tell if the sovereign citizen is playing stupid or if he simply is just stupid. I don't see the state here. You have to be willfully ignorant of the situation or how court works to say something so stupid.
Okay, that request is denied. Next item.
I reject that premise.
Cool.
Noted.
You're not the judge.
Okay, I'm here by special appearance and I reserve all my rights and I waive none of them. I am the beneficiary and priority lien holder via a Kansas UCC lien registration number 5676382 over the defendant, the Gary Michael Pelosa Social Security Trust, registration number, last 4 digits ending in 0762. And as a beneficiary and priority lien holder, I have the authority to order you as trustee to dismiss and discharge this court matter case immediately and release my collateral, the defendant, Gary Michael Pelosa, from the custody of Butler County Jail to the streets immediately.
Now, are you Gary Michael Pelosi or are you someone else?
I'm the beneficiary. Gary Michael Pelosa is a trust.
All right. If Gary Michael Pelosi fails to appear, I'm going to have to issue a warrant for his arrest, but that's kind of silly since you're sitting in the county jail. What's your motion or request at this time, sir, to dismiss the case?
I want to process. There's no jurisdiction in this matter, ma'am. There's nothing in the record to show that this court has jurisdiction. Article 3, Section 2, Clause 2 of the Constitution, which you said you swore an oath to, states, those cases in which a state shall be a party, the Supreme Court shall have original jurisdiction. You cannot sit here being employed by the state of Kansas and judge a case that your employer, the state of Kansas, pays you for. That's a conflict of interest. Are you a member of the bar in good standing, ma'am?
Sir, at this time, I deny your allegations.
Is your bar number 12910?
Sir, at this time, your motion to dismiss for lack of jurisdiction is denied, and you can take that up further if you appeal this with the Kansas Supreme Court.
You cannot you cannot deny a motion. Subject matter can be challenged at any time, ma'am, and
I have jurisdiction, sir, over the subject matter.
There is no subject matter. What is the subject matter? There is no contract.
Denied. Let's move on. What's your next point?
You can't do that, ma'am.
I can.
You're violating your oath of office without any authority, and I have the sheriffs here that can make a citizen arrest to any judge that violates their oath of office. You're violating your oath of office. You do not have jurisdiction. The Constitution says so at Article 3, Section 2, Clause 2.
We'll let the appellate courts decide that, sir. Let's move on. What's the next point?
We don't need it. You can't move on without jurisdiction.
I can and I will. You don't have anything else you want to say before we start this trial?
What trial? You don't have jurisdiction to have a trial.
All right. Mr. Baca, do you want to call your first witness?
I can if the court's ready to proceed, Your Honor.
I'm ready to proceed, unless the defendant has anything legitimately he wants to have heard. Doesn't sound like he does.
No, yeah, the judge is spot on. If he has anything relevant to be heard, but it doesn't seem like he does. Jurisdiction is a pretty easy thing to understand. The federal government has a certain jurisdiction. State government has a certain jurisdiction. County government, city government, they all have a specific jurisdiction. But because this guy's not getting his way in, I'm assuming, county, he wants a different jurisdiction because it's not going well for him. He's trying to mom and pop the court system. And if you guys have watched any sovereign citizen shit, you know that it does not work like that.
Your Honor, the state at this time is ready to proceed and would call Sergeant Akers to the stand. Were you on duty in your current employment capacity on January 21st, 2026?
Yes, I was.
And on that day, around 2040 hours, do you recall your location?
Yes, I do.
What was that location?
I was parked running stationary traffic enforcement at Highway 54, mile marker 232, which is thereabouts the intersection of Highway 54 and Santa Fe Lake Road, Augusta, Kansas.
And then what, if anything, did you observe at that location at that time?
I was parked facing westbound in a section of the roadway, which is the median, which is clear from traffic. And at that time frame, I observed a vehicle on my rear radar that was traveling at 45 miles per hour, which was also westbound.
Okay. And do you know the posted speed on that particular roadway?
I do. It's 65 miles per hour.
And so your testimony is this vehicle seemed to be driving slower than the posted speed. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Once you made this observation, what did you do next?
And it's strange and odd. And at this point, I was determined to follow the vehicle so that way I could see if there was anything wrong with the driver and or the vehicle or any other kind of investigation that need merited.
And so you started following this vehicle at this point, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And as you were following this vehicle, what, if anything, did you observe?
At one point, it actually slowed down to 22 miles per hour. At this point, I was able to get up behind the vehicle to attempt to get the tag off of the vehicle so I could continue trying to see what was going on.
And were you able to get any information from that tag?
I actually wasn't. When I had first ran the tag, I ran it on my own, which I had suspected maybe it was a Missouri tag. I could make out the letters, but there was something covering over the state, so I wasn't exactly sure of the state registration. But I had ran it, which I suspected was through Missouri, on my mobile data terminal, or MDT, which has NCIC access, and I had a return that said that it was or canceled, removed.
Okay. And so after you made this observation about the tag, what did you do at this point?
I wanted to confirm and be doubly sure. At this point, it was already a violation based off the NCIC hit that it was illegal registration, but I wanted to be absolutely positive before taking an enforcement action. So I continued to follow the vehicle and attempt to identify any which way that I could confirm if it was a Missouri plate.
Okay. And so at some point, were you able to confirm the tag?
I was.
Okay.
Go ahead.
At some point, did you attempt to stop this vehicle?
I did.
Can you describe that process as you stopped the vehicle?
At the time in which I continued to follow it, it had driven all the way to the Andover Quick Shop, which is located at 114, I believe, West Highway 54 in Andover, Kansas. As the vehicle was turning into the parking lot, I was able to clearly see the license plate said Missouri over the top. At this point, I was able to confirm not only what I had seen, but also what I had checked through dispatch, that it was truly a canceled, revoked, removed license plate. And that's at this point when the vehicle pulled into a stall is where I made my traffic stop or initiated contact.
So the vehicle had stopped before you turned on any lights or siren, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And once the vehicle stopped, what did you do at that point?
As the vehicle stopped, I recalled the driver, a white male, exited the driver's seat. I exited my vehicle to make contact with it to let him know that I was actually conducting a traffic stop, and the reason why was that the license plate on his vehicle didn't return valid.
And did this particular driver have a response to that?
He explained to me that he was not necessarily the owner of the car, but that he was using the car and he was transporting the car from its place where it was purchased in Missouri back to a location in Kansas. I don't exactly recall where. He also explained to me that he was doing this on the behalf of somebody else.
And do you recall what...
Okay. Oh, God. Sovereign citizens are so frustrating because they just try to confuse you with stupidity. I'm not actually driving. I'm actually doing this on behalf of someone else. Dude, you have what was it? A revoked, suspended, whatever tag or plate? Oh. I've been doing this for like 5 years. And after 5 years, you would think this shit wouldn't frustrate me anymore, but it's just... Common sense is here. They operate everywhere else but where common sense exists. And it's extremely frustrating, even 5 years later.
What that name and date of birth was that he gave you at that time?
He gave me the name Garrison Michael with the date of birth that the driver gave me was March 12th of 1958. And again, identified himself as Garrison Michael and gave himself or explained that his short name was Gary.
And did you receive any kind of response from your mobile data terminal?
I did not, actually.
What exactly did the terminal indicate to you, if anything?
I wasn't able to get a return through Kansas for an individual by the name of Garrison Michael. Actually, there was another Garrison Michael that was since deceased. However, I wasn't able to find exacting information as provided to me by the driver.
Did you also check the name along with the date of birth you were provided?
I did.
And did the date of birth help you give any further information?
It did eventually.
Okay. After you received this indication from your terminal, what did you do at that point?
I met back with the driver to try to confirm the information. At this point, I had already suspected maybe there wasn't full information that the individual was giving me, or I even suspected at this point that the individual was giving me fictitious information. I asked the individual or the driver a series of questions about their history or physical identity, which included addresses in which they've lived, states in which they've lived, telephone numbers, places in which they've lived, people which they've lived with. Based out of this information, I learned that the driver indicated he was from an address in Wichita, in addition to having previously lived in Texas. In addition to that, there was a name in common with a girlfriend because of the place that he was recently living at in Platte, Missouri. I used this information and continued to search through law enforcement databases and was able to find Gary Michael Pelosa with the same date of birth with exacting addresses from both Wichita, Missouri, and Texas, and associations with the same individual he identified as his girlfriend.
Did you ask the defendant about the discrepancies in the name between Garrison Michael and Gary Michael Pelosa?
I did on a couple of times, or a couple of different times during the incident.
What was his response?
The first response was that he didn't recognize who Gary Michael Pelosa was, and in fact, he actually even denied that this was who he was. As time went on through the investigation, in addition to some other things that occurred, to include the discovery of an old Kansas driver's license that bore his image and was found in the vehicle, he eventually explained that he is Gary Michael Pelosa, but he doesn't identify as Gary Michael Pelosa because that's a name that was applied to him, and instead Garrison Michael is the name that he assumed, and therefore he believed that he wasn't lying to me by calling himself Garrison Michael, and did
Right to jail. Right to jail. I just want to point this out. I've pointed out in several videos, several live streams. You're going to get arrested for this. Whether you go by Michael whatever or Garrison Michael whatever, fingerprints don't lie. You're going to get charged. You're going to get booked. Booking process is, hey, give me your information, name, date of birth, address where they can send court paperwork, yada, yada, yada. Then you're going to get booked, fingerprints, every single one of them. Even I think I did the palm. And then you're going to get your mugshot. And then 10 minutes to a day later, your entire, your comprehensive criminal history is going to come back. If you have any warrants, is going to come back. All of your information is going to come back. So whether you want to go by a fictitious name or your real name, they're going to find out very quickly. Like sometimes I was booking somebody, and by the time I got done with their mugshots and hit go, by the time I got back to my office, which was, I don't know, 20, 30 yards from the booking, office, their paperwork would have already been emailed to me by the state. And it would have been, oh, you're actually this person? And then I would flip over the paper or flip over the monitor with their picture on it and all their information, say, is that you? And then we would start stacking more charges for, disguise ID, false identification, whatever. So this is stupid, especially in 2026. Maybe in the 1950s this would have flew, not in 2026.
Denying that he's Gary Michael Palooza.
So once you received the information of Gary Michael Palooza, did you then check that information with the date of birth on your records?
I did.
And did you discover anything in particular about any official state documents at that point?
I did.
What, if anything, did you discover?
I discovered that he had a license through the state of Missouri, which was suspended actually 2 times on the same day, which was in December. In addition to that, I discovered that he had outstanding warrants for his arrest, and I don't exactly recall where those warrants were.
Okay. And did you discover any documentation that related to the state of Kansas?
I did.
And what was that documentation?
That was a Social Security card in a package, a Ziploc bag, along with several financial cards and a Kansas driver's license, which appeared quite old, that was actually concealed.
I'm only going to point this out because this guy looks a bit older. He doesn't want to go by this name. He doesn't want to, face the facts of that's who he is. But when he turns a certain age and goes to collect Social Security, I would be willing to bet a large amount of money that he's going to want to be that person at that point. Just want to point that out. Ace, yeah, I think that's where it is. It should be in video permissions. It should be in that section of YouTube. It's basically just you give permission for people to send people to your videos. Like if you have a premiere, I think you set it like 3 something, I could then redirect everybody from this stream over to your channel for that premiere. But I did it like 2 years ago, so I don't exactly remember where it's at.
Inside the fuse box underneath the hood inside the vehicle.
So after you made this check...
Wait.
His license, which appeared quite old, that was actually concealed inside the fuse box underneath the hood inside the vehicle.
So after you made this...
What? So he was hiding his ID in the fuse box of his car under the hood. That's commitment to stupidity, folks. That's some BSBT level stupidity.
Check and receive this information. What did you do at that point?
I placed the individual, the driver, under arrest.
And what was he placed under arrest for?
Interference, providing a fictitious name with law enforcement, which appeared to be in direct attempt to impede my investigation, in addition to driving while suspended, and for the registration violation.
And did you...
guys, enjoy Muppet KFARR accompanying you with this video for a second. I'm going to go get more coffee in my fancy booze and body cam mug. Available at the KTZ store that's in the description. All right, I'll be back.
The defendant, that's what he was being placed under arrest for.
I did, and if I might add, also, he was under arrest due to the outstanding warrants. In that conversation, we discussed the reason why that we were having such a mix-up or a miscommunication, or that there was contradicting and contrary information that was being given out. He explained that he did not one, recognize that he had a social security number because that number was assigned to him through the Social Security Administration, so therefore he didn't declare ownership of it. And then even in addition to that, he did not declare ownership of any license issued through any state due to the fact that he did not agree to the terms in which the contractual relationship was constructed between him and whichever issuing state it was. At that point, it was a determination of whether or not it was going to be allowed to remain, which was largely consent out of the ownership of the store, which was the Andover Quick Shop, and in addition to the owner of the vehicle, which at this time, I don't recall his exact name, but I was in conversation with the owner of the vehicle and the store to determine if the vehicle could remain there. At the end of that, that's what was determined, was that we would leave the car there with the keys with the store clerk, and then the owner would make arrangements to have the car collected. And during the stop, thereabouts the time where I was still attempting to confirm the identity of the driver, I had requested a canine to come to the vehicle to conduct an open air sniff for the odor of narcotics. That canine deployment was conducted, which resulted positive for the odor of narcotics. Thus, at that point, we initiated a probable cause search.
And so what, if anything, did you discover in the vehicle during that search?
We discovered numerous documents to both Garrison Michael and Gary Michael Pelosa. We discovered several miscellaneous items, and then we also discovered underneath the hood, that's where we had discovered the license, the social security card, in addition to a large Ziploc bag.
Okay, guys, I'm back. Muppet KFARR is on screen. This is something that I just found funny for a second, so I had to look this up because they said, I guess I'll come on screen now. Okay, I'm back. So, Rodriguez v. United States is the Supreme Court decision that was like, the court or the police can't extend a stop for a canine to come and sniff the car. And as I was walking back into the office, I heard him say, I have to say the stop was going on. He was more than likely getting arrested. So in my head, that completely, I know he didn't use that case at all, but like, I wonder what that would be, since they're not extending the stop since he's being arrested and the car is probably going to be towed. Does that even count as extending the stop for them to get there if the stop's already just going to be going on forever? That's the things I think about. I think about what possible way can a sovereign citizen make a stupid argument. So I try to beat them to it. If you think that picture of KFARR makes him look like a very strict Jew, put a 1 in chat. Hey, Muppet KFARR, I have like a Daniel Boquist neck beard for some reason in that Muppet picture. I have a really big Daniel Boquist neck beard, even though in real life, none of my beard touches my neck. So it's very weird, but yeah, I do look kind of Jewish.
Bag full of unused syringes or hypodermic needles. In addition to that, found an amount of green leafy botanical substance, which I identified as marijuana.
Green leafy botanical substance.
The items themselves, I ended up advising the defendant of his rights according to Miranda prior to questioning him about the ownership of them. Of course, which out of turn, I had previously testified that this is where I had learned from from the driver that his position toward his driver's license and the social security card. But in addition to that, he denied ownership over the marijuana, but indicated that he had used marijuana to help him sleep that night before.
And so he didn't claim ownership of the substance that you believe to be marijuana, is that correct?
That's correct.
And so is there anything else with this investigation in particular that you feel is relevant and the court should know about today?
No, sir.
Your Honor, at this point, that's all the questions I have for Sergeant Akers at this time.
All right, Mr. Pelosa, do you have any cross-examination questions?
I think this is going to be stupid. I watched the beginning of this video and the very end of this video. I have to assume a sovereign citizen doing cross-examination there's going to be some stupidity that comes out.
Ma'am, I'm still challenging subject matter jurisdiction. It can't be waived, and it must be proven until it is proven. The court cannot go on, but I will ask the officer questions under necessity only. Mr. Akers, when you were following the vehicle in question, did you ever at any time put your lights on?
No, I did not.
Okay, so how did you end up approaching the defendant?
As previously testified, as the vehicle continued westbound on 54 and eventually pulled into the parking lot at the Andover Quick Shop, I had turned in behind the vehicle. At this time, I had turned my lights on and conducted the traffic stop.
You didn't, well, was he driving the car when you stopped the car, or did you stop the car at all?
Yes, he was driving the car when I stopped the car.
So you claim that you didn't have the lights on, but you stopped the car. How is that possible?
In correction to that, I said, as the vehicle pulled into the parking lot is when the time in which I turned my lights on to conduct the traffic stop.
You claim that he had a suspended Missouri driver's license. Do you have any evidence of that? And can you please state the Missouri driver's license number when you find it?
Let him give one answer.
Okay, I don't want to be the bearer of sovereign citizen bad news. Stops, it is a traffic stop. You don't necessarily need to physically stop the car. If I see you doing fuck shit and then you put it into a parking spot and I flip the light on to prevent you from leaving, congratulations, you have found yourself at a traffic stop. If I, as an officer, is following you for miles, a mile, a half a mile, a few blocks, and then you pull into a gas station and I flip on the lights to prevent you from leaving, congratulations, you have found yourself at a grade A legal traffic stop. And this guy's trying to sovereign citizen his way out of it by using word salad, quantum grammar nonsense. Oh, hey.
Answer at a time.
I have, if I can offer a correction to my testimony, that the defendant does not have a Missouri driver's license, but had one through Kansas. On December 14th of 2022, had been issued a suspension for failure to answer citation, which was issued through Missouri.
So the defendant doesn't have a Missouri driver's license?
No.
So what other things that you may be wrong at in your reporting then? Isn't it true that, did you ever talk to the owner or the trustee of the car?
I talked to an individual that was identified as the owner, correct? Yes.
Well, he was identified as a trustee, wasn't he?
The vehicle was belonging to a trust, and this is the individual who I was explained by you was the owner of the vehicle.
Okay, if you're talking to me as me, I never said the trustee was the owner, because the trustee.
All right, you're either gonna wait and testify, or you're gonna cross-examine the witness now soon. But you're not gonna start testifying in the middle of this cross-examination.
Was the discussion you had with the driver, was it from his window, or was he walking into the store?
As I recall, my initial contact was when you exited the driver's seat and I met with you at the back door of the back passenger driver's side door of the vehicle.
Did you say hey or talk to the driver to keep him from stopping from walking into the store?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so he wasn't aware you were even there until you said, hey, I want to talk to you for a minute. Is that correct?
I can't speak to where the point in which you identified that I was there and trying to make contact with you.
Okay, so when you talked to the trustee, did he give you evidence that the car was properly registered, and did not he show you anything, send you on the phone that proved the receipt that the car was just registered?
Yes.
Okay, we've got a mark raid. Thank you, sir. This is just proving what I said earlier. This guy's intentionally being dumb. He's intentionally being dumb. Oh, did you actually stop him, or did you have to say, oh, hey, you're at a traffic stop? Just because you're too stupid to notice that you're at a traffic stop doesn't mean that you're not on one. If you don't notice that there's red and blue lights behind you as you pull into a gas station or wherever the hell he was, that's on you. If you can't tell me, oh shit, they're behind me and there's no one else in this parking lot. You can't just go, oh well, I'm going to go get a fucking buffalo chicken roller from 7-Eleven. That's not on anybody else but you. Sovereign citizens know nothing about the law. Agreed. Agreed. Approved. Oh, everybody's coming over from Marks. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Ace, in just a second, I'll bring up my other screen and try to redirect everybody to your... You said it's a premiere?
Mr. Pelosa, excuse me, Mr. Pelosa, when you talk to the trustee, do you mean yourself or someone else?
The trustee of the trust of the car that was registered in. That's what I'm talking about.
Is that okay?
The car is registered to a trust, and he talked to the trustee because the driver the driver had given him the number and the trustee had sent the receipt of the registration.
Okay, stop. You're testifying. So you don't mean that you are the trustee of the vehicle. You're not asking him that kind of
No,
question.
I'm not the
Okay,
trustee.
that's fine. That's fine. Go ahead.
I apologize, sir. Can you please restate your question?
Did the trustee show you any evidence that he had registered that automobile?
And so into clarification, the individual that you told me to speak with as the owner, as you've stated at this point, the trustee was a guy by the name of Carl Long. And I forget the trust or the name of the trust in which the vehicle was declared to have been ownership through. However, Mr. Long did send me records of a receipt, through an image of a receipt that he had paid for registration through the state of Missouri for the vehicle.
Did the plates have current, up-to-date stickers saying that the plate was registered?
I don't recall as far as like the exact stickers, but I recall that the registration was just recently purchased.
Okay, so now, if it was recently purchased, then how can it be not registered?
I don't know that I have the answer for that.
Did you explain to the driver what you found on your computer when you ran the tag?
Yes, I did.
And what came up on your computer?
That the registration was not valid, canceled, removed.
So you saw a receipt that showed that the car had just been registered, but now you're saying that your computer says it was removed.
That's correct. There was.
You remember the date that was on that receipt of the registration?
No, I do not.
Would it help me if I help you recollect that was registered just the day before?
Your Honor, at this time, I'd ask the court to have the cross-examination of Sergeant Akers continue to be questions rather than testimony by the defendant. I would object to that question.
Sustained.
Okay. Did the registration show a date of the registration being just the day before?
I apologize. I don't have that in front of me. I don't know.
So you don't recall that how did he show you the receipt? Was it sent to you on your phone?
Yes, it was sent to my department issued cell phone.
But you don't recall the date of registration?
All I can recall is that it was before the date of the stop.
Okay.
I can't specify to the date in which it was because I don't remember.
Okay. And you don't have your phone on, you just check that, do you?
No, sir.
Okay. Was there consent given for the dog to sniff out the car?
No, there wasn't.
Did you get consent from the trustee?
As in Mr. Long?
Yes.
No.
Did you have a warrant to search the car?
No, I did not.
Okay, so you just went ahead and searched it anyway.
I searched the vehicle based out of prerequisite case law established in the state of Kansas, which predicates our ability to execute a probable cause search based on a canine deployment, which was done in accordance to established case law.
Okay, what was the probable cause to put a dog on the car?
I didn't need probable cause to deploy the canine.
So the canine operator doesn't need a warrant?
Not in this case, no.
Sir, can I do this? The dog doesn't need a warrant to sniff air. Doesn't need a warrant to sniff air. The officer doesn't need a warrant to breathe near your vehicle. If you assume that a dog or police officer needs a warrant to breathe around your vehicle, you deserve to be in the situation you're currently in. Just throwing that out there.
Okay, I have no more questions for this witness. I would like to call the state of Kansas to the stand.
Hold up. You haven't gotten, it's still the state's evidence. Mr. Buck, any further evidence? Further witnesses?
Your Honor, I have no redirect for Sergeant Akers. I have no further witnesses. I just am going to ask to admit the certified driving record on screen share.
Very well. And do you have a KBI lab report to do the same with?
Your Honor, I do not have a KBI lab report to do the same.
All right. Do we have field tests?
Your Honor, there was a field test that was performed, and I can ask Sergeant Akers about that, or if the court would like to inquire.
I'll just have you do it.
Your Honor, there was within the affidavit that was prepared and filed by Sergeant Akers, the buds that were found in the vehicle were field tested and provided a positive result for THC, according to his affidavit.
That's for this witness?
Yes, Your Honor.
Why don't you go ahead and ask him about that to get that on the record?
Thank you, Your Honor. Sergeant Akers, did you perform a field test on any of the items that were taken from the vehicle?
I did.
What items did you perform the field test on? Can you describe them?
Specifically, as previously testified, as the green botanical buds, which I suspected was marijuana that had been found inside of a yellow grocery stack stuffed into an air intake underneath the hood in the engine compartment of the vehicle.
And do you recall the result of that field test that you performed on those buds?
Yes, I do.
I do want to point this out. Regeerbot is apparently on vacation for this, or was on vacation. They actually make mention of him at the end of the video, which we're just about to be halfway done with. They made mention of him being on vacation because something's going to pop up at the end, and everyone's basically going to come to the conclusion of, we'll wait for Regeer to get back. So, yeah, he's apparently on vacation.
It resulted positive for THC or tetrahydrocannabinol.
And do you recall what the field test unit was that you used?
I don't exactly recall the test unit. That being said, it was a Lynn Pavey tester.
Okay. No further questions on this matter for Sergeant Akers, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Pelosa, any follow-up with what the officer just inquired about, the test?
So you're saying you don't have any test results to show to the court?
No, sir. The test itself is kind of a one and done, or so to speak, and it involves the use of some acidic material. It's an individual test kit, and it's disposed of.
So you're saying you have no evidence to show the court?
That test kit was disposed of, yes.
Okay, I rest.
Mr. Baca, it's up to you to rest because we're...
Yes, Regeer has actually plugged in somewhere. He's got a charge at some point, and he chose the end of March to do his yearly recharge.
Representing your...
Thank you, Your Honor. I have no further questions for Sergeant Akers, nor do I have any further witnesses. At this time, the state would move to admit the certified driving record under KSA 6465. It has the proper seal and attestation on it, and I will publish that if the court does accept that into evidence.
The court will accept that into evidence.
And we're back on YouTube, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Mr. Baca, you had an announcement?
Your Honor, after admission of the certified driving record, the state would rest at this time.
Very well. Now, Mr. Pelosa, if you want to present any evidence on your own behalf, this is the time to do that. You can call yourself as a witness. You don't have to. Your silence will not be used as evidence of guilt against you. If you do choose to testify, Mr. Baca would have the right to cross-examine you, just as you've had with his witnesses. So at this time, sir, do you have any evidence you want to present?
I have no evidence available to me right now since I'm held against my will in a place I can't get evidence from. So.
You mean you're in the Butler County Detention Facility?
Yes, I am.
Where's your attorney?
Mr. Patterson is standby counsel. Did you want Mr. Patterson to participate at this time?
I didn't appoint him standby counsel, and I don't know, he's an interloper, and I don't want him even to be involved in my case. I can't get him off of my case because I'm exercising my Sixth Amendment right, and I don't know who has authority to give someone an attorney when they don't want one. And I don't see any authority on who can do that, but it seems like he's stuck to me somehow, and I don't want him stuck to me somehow. I don't want him as backup counsel. He's not doing anything. I know he's there to represent the trust, but that's another issue.
All right. Then please proceed, or are you resting?
I want to call the state of Kansas to the stand. I get a right to cross-examine my accuser. And I want them to show me a photo ID with driver's license or whatever, state of Kansas clearly printed on it, current street address.
All right, sir, do you have a person with a body that you can call to represent the state of Kansas? Sergeant Akers, perhaps?
Well, you can't represent the state of Kansas without presenting Kansas first. To represent something has to be presented in the first time.
Well, sir,
Quantum
it is your
grammar,
duty,
yes.
if you're representing yourself,
Right.
to call your witnesses. If your witnesses won't appear voluntarily, it's your duty to subpoena them. You didn't want Mr. Patterson to subpoena anyone for you or have any witnesses ready. So
Well, the plaintiff should be in the court, though, or in this hearing. The plaintiff should be here.
Sir, you can either call your witnesses or rest. It's up to you.
I want to testify.
Well, the state didn't call anybody that you wanted to testify. If you want to call witnesses, call them now.
I would like to testify myself.
Very well. Please raise your right hand. I thought you just did, though.
Did I raise my right hand and swear in?
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. Okay, I'm going to testify by doing an oration.
All right, you're Gary Michael Pelosa, the defendant herein, is that correct?
Yes, I do represent as the beneficiary the defendant, but I have a right to testify for the trust. Since I'm the beneficiary of that trust.
Time out. Didn't he just say to represent somebody, to represent somebody, you have to present them first? He's claiming this entire time not to necessarily be that person, but to be representing that person or representing the trust. By his own logic, you have to say, yes, I'm this person, and then say, oh, I'm representing this person. I enjoy when they say they're representing themselves because it makes it seem like they have several personalities in their head. It makes me laugh a little bit.
On the day of question, Officer Akers did not pull me over, did not put lights on, and I was walking into the quick shop on 114 Highway 54 because my car was having problems. That's why I had transmission problems. It was heating up and I was going in the store for water. He said, hey, can I talk to you? And I said, what do you want to talk about? He says, well, the condition of your car. I said, what about the condition of my car? He said, well, I ran your plates and nothing came back. And that was very curious to me. I said, what do you mean nothing came back? It just got registered yesterday. We went around. I says, I don't own the car. It belongs to Heirloom Trust. And I've got the trustee. I'll call him up. And he talked to the trustee, and the trustee sent him evidence that the car was just registered the day before. So there is no way that it could have been recalled or said invalid or anything like that. It is still valid in Missouri. And if anybody wants to check, they can call up Missouri and find out that that is a valid license plate that was issued by the state of Missouri. So I don't know where he's coming up with his testimony saying that it came back valid, because he told me specifically that nothing came back on the screen, not that it came back canceled or void. That's impossible. I said, where do you think I got the plate from? I went into DMV and stole the plate and stole the sticker on there. It was a brand new plate with a brand new sticker. And the trustee just sent him on his phone evidence of the registration of it the day before. So I don't understand Sergeant Akers' testimony, because Sergeant Akers is not telling the truth. I was walking into the store and he just did a fishing exposition because it was packed down because I was moving from Missouri to Kansas and it had a lot of stuff in it. He asked me if there's methamphetamine in the car. I said, there's no methamphetamine in the car. So he said, well, I'm going to run a dog around your car. I said, you don't have consent. He was on a fishing exposition and he found marijuana. He was looking for meth because he told me he was looking for meth.
Again, I just gave you Rodriguez v. United States. Let me bring it up again because it's in my fucking regularly searched thing. So Rodriguez v. United States is a court case from 2015, which is actually, when it comes to Supreme Court decisions, that's fairly recently. It was a Supreme Court decision which basically analyzed whether police officers can extend the length of a traffic stop to conduct a search with a trained dog. 3-6 opinion that they may not, which I agree with. I don't think they should be able to extend the stop unreasonably for a dog to come sniff, but the dog doesn't need permission or a warrant to simply walk around the car and breathe. Walk around public breathing. For some reason, criminals think dogs and officers need a warrant to walk around public and breathe, which again is wild to me.
I have no idea where he found the syringes from. I don't believe there was any syringes in the car because I don't use syringes. He found a lot of bottles of supplements because I'm a health nut. I did tell him about the marijuana being purchased legally in Missouri.
I don't think he's a health nut. I think Erica said a little bit earlier that this man needs some serious vitamin D. I think he's probably going to receive a lot of vitamin D in prison, if you catch my drift. This guy just needs to go out and see the sun. Just let the sun touch his skin for a minute. My man's looking pastier than a ghost. He's so white, he makes Casper the Friendly Ghost look tan.
And I use it for sleeping. I just happened to bring it over with me in the car, and I told him it was purchased legally in Missouri. So his testimony does not jive with what was said at the location, and I don't know why he would go and misrepresent what was actually said and done at that time. When he asked me my name, I said, I am Gary Michael, but I go by Garrison. I said, I use Garrison Michael, but my name is Gary Michael. I don't use my family name. So I just use my given name, which is Gary Michael, and my family's name is Pelosi. It doesn't belong to me. So when he asked me what my name is, my given name is Gary Michael, and I go by Garrison. And I use Garrison Michael and without the family name. So there was no intent to deceive him because I told him why. And when he asked me for a social security number, I said, I don't have a number. It's not my number. If you look on the back of the social security card, it says this is property of the Social Security Administration. So it cannot be my property to say I have or I own a social security card. It is the Social Security Administration's card. And that's evidence on everybody's social security card. If they turn around and
Okay, to my knowledge, this is the same thing with like a driver's license. The license is technically the property of the state or the federal government because they're the one who issued it. So it's their property. If for whatever reason you get it taken away, it goes back to them. You have the number. The number, if you look up whatever this guy's name is, that number will pop up. If you, shocker, if you run this guy through the system, he is connected to that social security number. So this is another opportunity that he has taken to prove that he's an idiot. I bet the SovCit's organic meth came from his... Yeah. I will never understand the brain. I will never understand the inner workings of the brain of a sovereign citizen. It's like there's a fork in the road for every decision that they make, and it's the right common sense decision or some gobbledygook tinfoil hat wearing bullshit. And they always pick the bullshit route every single time.
And turn it to the back and read it. It does not belong to me, so it's not my card, and I can't testify. I was not trying to be deceptive. I was just being factual. And for him saying that, I told him the whole purpose of me not using the family name. I prefer my given name, and I used the name Garrison because I like the full name Garrison instead of Gary. I said my name is Gary Michael, but I go by Garrison Michael. So that's not fake. That's not false. That's my name. It's my given name. I gave it to myself.
I also want to sit Gary down and just push his glasses up on his face where they fucking belong.
And my family gave me Gary, but I prefer Garrison. So I have tons of documentation. I've been using it for over 30 years, and he found documentation with Garrison Michael on it that proves that what I'm saying is true. I use that name. I have an alias, if you want to call it an alias, but I wasn't being deceptive. He found evidence that I do use that name with correspondence and legal documents that he found in my car. So I wasn't trying to be deceptive there. I don't understand why he was so permissive in trying to think. I was told by listening to the other officers there that Missouri was a methamphetamine state, so he assumed that I must have had methamphetamine because my car was loaded down. That's the only thing I can assume for his reasoning of that. I did admit to purchasing marijuana legally in Missouri, and through the sister clause, I thought I would be able to use marijuana in the state of Kansas because I obtained it legally in the state of Missouri. If I'm wrong in that, I'm sorry. I had no mens rea. I had no intent to do that because I am a health nut, but I have sleeping problems and I have headaches, and that I use it for medicinal purposes. So I wasn't trying to be deceptive, but that's the occurrence of that discussion. And I was not stopped or pulled over. I was already parked, and I was walking into a store when I was approached and asked questions about my automobile. I was trying to be as truthful as I can with the facts that I represent, and I wasn't trying to deceive. I told him honestly, I bought it in Missouri. So that explains the marijuana and my name thing. The fact that the registration, when I told the trustee that I got a ticket for not having registered plates, he got very angry, and he sent the prosecutor and Mr. Patterson copies of the registration of that car. So I don't know. I know Mr. Baca wasn't the one.
Talking about?
Say what?
Who are you talking about?
I'm talking about the trustee of the car. The car is registered to a trust, Heirloom Trust. The trustee had sent copies of the registration to Mr. Patterson and to...
In my opinion, Judge Webster checked out about, let's see here, about 20 minutes ago. She checked out. She's on a lake fishing. She's on the beach. She is somewhere else because this guy's just literally just rambling on about nothing. Oh, I bought weed in a state where it's legal and then took it to a state which is illegal, and I'm trying to talk my way out of it. It's like, no, even if it's legal weed from one state, it's still illegal if there's no legal marijuana in that state. Oh, I bought it legally. Can you prove that? Can you prove that? Because I can tell you right now, I've met dozens of people who are like, yeah, I bought this legally from the dispensary. And their dispensary's name was Steve down the street, and he grew it in his basement. So yeah, Steve probably sold you some weed. Probably wasn't legal, and now you're just saying, oh yeah, it's legal now. Yeah, Dove, she's in a, we've probably all done this. She's in like the church bathroom counting the tiles on the floor or the tiles on the wall. If you're Chris Ryder, you're counting the tiles on the ceiling that you're going to replace. You know, that's what she's doing right now. She goes, oh, I never realized there was this many ingredients on the back of my hand sanitizer I keep on my desk. Because this guy's talking about nothing.
The attorney's office, the prosecuting attorney's office, I don't know exactly who he sent it to, but the office had got copies of that registration to show that the car was properly registered. So I don't know where this car hasn't been legally registered. If you call Missouri up, you'll see that the car is properly registered in the state of Missouri. And you would think that you'd be able to use a car that was registered legally in one state throughout the whole United States. I don't know why. Mr. Akers said that it didn't come up on his screen, but that registration, that plate is current and it's valid. So I don't know where the accusation of he has no evidence to show that it was canceled or he's just saying stuff. He's misrepresented of our dialogue and misrepresented my name. So I don't know why he's doing that, but it's done. And he has no evidence of any field test even on the marijuana, even though I'm admitting that I had marijuana. There's no evidence, and he got caught in stuff, and he changes his testimony. So I just want to make that as a fact here, and I'm done talking.
Okay, thank you.
Finally, you're done talking.
This time
hit the wrong button. So this is where whereabouts it gets kind of interesting and kind of in the weeds at the same time. So I believe at the beginning they said he had warrants somewhere else. Those are going to come into play after sentencing, and he's not going to enjoy it.
I'm going to render my decision on these counts. So you both have had a chance to talk and to present your evidence. Now it's my turn, Mr. Pelosi, to talk. And I would tell you, as I would anyone else, it's too late for evidence. You've told me you've got all your evidence in, so don't interrupt, please. We'll go through the charges. Count 1 accuses you of interference with a law enforcement officer, alleging that you on January 21st, 2026 in Butler County, falsely reported to a law enforcement officer, a law enforcement agency, or state investigative agency any information knowing that such information is false and intending to influence, impede, or obstruct such officers or agencies' duty in violation of KSA 215904, subsections, etc., interference with law enforcement officer. Well, the evidence is clear from both sides that when the officer asked for identification, he was given a name other than the legal name of the defendant, Gary Michael Pelosi. The defendant gave the name of Garrison Michael. Garrison Michael, and he said, the defendant says, I am Garrison Michael. I go by Gary Michael, but I don't use my family's name. Pelosi is my family name. Well, that to me is a clear admission that you told the officer a name other than your legal name. Now, you can go by an alias all you want. You can choose to use the name Garrison Michael, but when a law enforcement officer is asking for your legal identity to investigate a violation of the law, any reasonable person would know to give their legal name. And if you didn't give your legal name, there can only be one reason. Either you're too stupid to give your true name, which I don't find this defendant to be stupid, or the other reason would be that you're trying to keep the officer from knowing who you really are. That one is one that I believe is true, that you did not want the officer to know your given name. He would have found out that you had a suspended license. He would have found out that you had things going on with your driver's license in both Kansas and Missouri, and that gave you a good reason to tell him that you were someone else. I don't doubt that you go by Garrison Michael as your alias, but your legal name is not Garrison Michael from what the evidence says. And by not giving the officer the name Gary Michael Pelosi, It caused him much obstruction, and he had to spend a lot of extra time going through records to find out dates of birth and names that matched and ones that didn't and people that were dead with that.
Okay, let's put this into perspective for a second. He's too old to be doing this. But this would be like if I got pulled over and go, let's not use me. Let's use a different person. Let's use Boot Body Cam, for example. This would be like Boot getting pulled over and they're like, oh, name, insurance and registration. And he goes, I don't have my license with me, but my name's Boot Body Cam. And then they search Boot Body Cam and nothing comes back. That's basically what this guy did. He gave them a name that he knew wouldn't come back with the date of birth that he gave them, yet he gave it anyway. This would be I actually touched on this at the beginning of the video, intentionally being stupid. Intentionally being ignorant. You know exactly what the officer wants. He wants your legal name. He wants your legal name, your legal information. If you give anything other than that, congratulations, you're giving false ID. That's like if somebody gets pulled over and they go by, I don't know, grass-eating motherfucker. Let's just call it that because I'm looking at my grass in my backyard and it needs to be cut. If you go by grass-eating motherfucker in the streets and an officer pulls you over, goes, what's your name, license, or registration, proof of insurance? He goes, my name's actually grass-eating motherfucker. I was born on this day and this, month and this year. And then they run it and nothing comes back. Congratulations, you gave a false name. Where I worked, we would charge it with disguise ID. But yeah, you're in the wrong.
Name. But eventually he put enough information together, he was able to figure out your real name. And even then you kind of hesitated by admitting that you were Gary Michael Pelosi. So I find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt of count 1, interference by providing false information. Count 2, possession of marijuana. Frankly, when the state rested, I was prepared to dismiss that case. The law is quite clear that field tests will amount to and be considered as probable cause in preliminary hearings where the burden of proof is probable cause proof. But since we're in trial and we don't have lab reports for proof beyond a reasonable doubt, I thought, well, the state missed that one. But then you testified, Mr. Pelosi, and you admitted every which way you could that was, in fact, marijuana, that you purchased it legally in Missouri, that you used it to sleep, and that you knew that it was marijuana. So you basically shored that charge up beyond a reasonable doubt. So between the state's evidence and yours, I find you guilty of possession of marijuana in count 2.
What a moron.
Count 3, driving while suspended. The certified records made it very clear that your license was suspended. I know you objected to the 2 reports from the state of Missouri claiming they were falsified, but taking the report as a whole, I find your license was suspended on January 21st and that you had a prior conviction for driving while suspended. So I find you guilty of that charge as well. Failure to register your vehicle seems to be the most or the least difficult for me to find you guilty of because it wasn't registered. Now, I know you gave me a good explanation for why you believe it was registered, but most of it was based on this hearsay of the unavailable declarant, allegedly a trustee of the vehicle. But I'm convinced beyond a reasonable doubt that the vehicle was not properly registered. So I find you guilty of all charges and we'll proceed to sentencing at this time. Mr. Baca, does the state have recommendations?
Here we go.
Yes, Your Honor. At this time, in regards to count 1, state would recommend a $100 fine, 6 months jail suspended. We would recommend 12 months reporting probation. Also recommend standard conditions of probation, the probation fee, and court costs. In regards to count 2, state would not recommend a fine, would recommend 6 months jail suspended, concurrent with count 1. Also 12 months reporting probation with a special condition to obtain a drug and alcohol evaluation and follow all recommendations. In regards to count 3, state would recommend the $100 mandatory minimum fine, recommend 8 months jail suspended, concurrent with all counts, 12 months reporting probation. And Your Honor, the statute is specific that he must serve 5 days in jail since this is a second offense, but I would not have objection to credit for time served on that 5 days, which I think he may have already met.
Okay.
Finally, Your Honor, in regards to count 4, $50 fine, 30 days jail suspended, concurrent with other counts, 12 months reporting probation.
Deputy, if you're still there, do you know how much jail time credit he might have?
I do not.
All right.
I was arrested on the 21st of January.
So you've been in jail since January 21st?
Yes, I have.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Palonza, if you have anything you want to say about your sentence, I would allow you to do so. If you want to rely on your standby counsel, I would allow you to do so. Or you can remain silent if you wish.
Honestly, Erica, I think it's been a month or some change. Let me gonna break the stream real quick. Hold on. Because I'm very curious. Very curious. I got this from Old Squishy Gardner. I actually think I streamed his first appearance, which was much shorter. Okay, stupid guy in goofy glasses. Looking for stupid guy with goofy glasses. Or Judge Webster. That's Judge Webster and another stupid guy. Oh, stupid guy and Judge Webster. At least a month. His first case happened, according to this. Let me see if it gives me an actual date. February 6th. At least as of February 6th, he was still in this jail. So, 2 months? 2 months so far? You guys are killing me with this. You guys are killing me with this. So he got convicted before Ryder. The world isn't fair. Let me make myself large here. Or let me take this down so that I can be large. It is absolutely disgusting to me that someone the likes of Chris Ryder has been magically able to kick the can down the road 2 years when these people are in and out of court in like 2 months. It's crazy to me. Justice delayed is justice denied. Just because you continue... So this is, in my opinion, what's taking so long. He keeps getting more charges. And as he gets more charges, they keep having to have bond hearings, yada, yada, which is adding court dates, which is just lengthening the time the court case has to go on. I said this before. The last court date where he was, the bond hearing that they kicked the can down the road, they should have immediately arrested him on the spot for bond violations. That way, Thomas Clay would have had to show up to court. Chris would have been in court until trial. That is how I think they should have handled this. That way, they skip all this bullshit of him being out in the wild creating more victims. No, you go straight to court. You do not pass go. You do not collect $200. Right to court. Right to the trial. That way, he has to show up. He's not going to run. His lawyer has to show up. He can't keep kicking the can down the road. That's what I think should have happened. But that's my rant. Oh, golly. All right. Back to it. I don't know how much time we got left. Like 20-ish minutes.
Could I talk to Mr. Patterson for a second?
All right. Mr. Patterson, can you come out of standby mode?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Could you please put them in a brief, Mr. Patterson, breakout room, please, Destiny?
Your Honor.
Yes.
Just want to let you know, before we go back, I do have one small announcement before sentencing is rendered.
Thank you. All right. We are back on the record in BU 26 CR 25. All parties appearing as before. Mr. Baca said while counsel and defendant were in conversation that he had an announcement. Do you want to make that at this time, Mr. Baca?
Thank you, Your Honor. I just did want to point out, it was pointed out to me by staff that an amended information was filed that did dismiss count 4, the registration. I just wanted to have complete candor with the court that we did prior dismiss that. I believe information was turned into our office.
Interesting. All right. Well, there you go, Mr. Pelosa. By taking this to trial, you just got one count to go away. Failure to register your vehicle has previously been dismissed by the state, and I will make it formally dismissed with prejudice at this time, meaning it cannot be refiled. Was there anything else you want to say before I pronounce your sentence, Mr. Pelosa?
No, I'm good.
Okay. On count 1, interference with a law enforcement officer, your sentence at this time is a $100 fine and 6 months in the Butler County Jail. On count 2, possession of marijuana, no fine, but concurrent 6 months in the county jail. Count 3, driving while suspended after prior conviction, $100 in fines and 8 months concurrent county jail. There will be no sentence on count 4 as that has been dismissed. Now, all 3 of these counts will run concurrently.
I just want to point out, this is why I appreciate some judges just kind of running roughshod over the prosecutor and their, let's call them, recommendations. This judge heard him say 6 months suspended. 6 months suspended, 6 months suspended, running concurrently. The judge said, I'll see you're suspended. Have fun in jail for 6 months. Now, I know that he's already done 3 months in jail. They're probably going to give him time served for that. So he's probably going to have to do another 90 days, which in my opinion, 1000%. Jail, right through jail. Especially if you're acting like this, probation's not going to help you. Jail is going to help you because it's either going to put you in an uncomfortable position where you fix your shit or you just get taken out of normal, polite society for 6 months and we all get a break from you.
The defendant must serve a minimum 5 days mandatory in jail, but that is covered by time served, it looks like. Likewise, the remainder of his terms will be given credit for time served. So it is possible that he has maxed out his sentence. Mr. Baca, I don't know if anyone has put a pencil to that, or Mr. Patterson, but if he's been there since January 21st, there's a chance he's either maxed or pretty close to that 8 months. If he has not maxed out his sentence, he will be granted a 12-month reporting probation.
So he got 8 months, so 3 months. So he's got to still do 5 at minimum. And that's saying, I said it earlier, Erica said he needs some vitamin D. I have a sneaking suspicion he's probably going to catch some vitamin D in prison.
Where he will have to see a probation officer, and the officer will have to determine if interstate compact will allow a transfer to his home state in Missouri. If you have not maxed your sentence and you go on this 12-month reporting probation, all standard conditions will apply. You will be required to call the probation officer immediately after this hearing at 316-322-4153 and give them all of your contact information and they'll direct you accordingly. You are to have no alcohol and no illegal drugs, and I don't care if it is legal in Missouri, it's not illegal federally, and you're not to violate any federal laws, and even if it is legal federally, you're not going to possess it as a condition of this probation. And Mr. Baca, is there anything else I need to specifically order here?
Judge, I think the only things I didn't see, the probation fee, court costs, and then the drug and alcohol eval. I was not sure if the court was going to.
Yes, I do want to order the drug and alcohol evaluation and follow it. And as far as amounts, count 1, the fine is $100. No fine on count 2. Count 3, $100. No fine on count 4 because it was dismissed. Now, the KBI, the fact that you didn't get a KBI fee just saved you $400 in lab fees, so that's to your benefit. $158 in court costs. Is it $158, Destiny? It is, isn't it?
It is, Your Honor, for a criminal case.
$60 supervision fee. Now, if you've maxed your sentence out, there won't be that $60, but otherwise there will. I think that comes to about $418. You know how long it might take you to pay that, sir?
418, probably 6 months.
How about if I give you 4 months, 120 days to start with, and if you need more, we can get it.
Okay.
All right, to pay to the 120 days. And if there's nothing else, then we'll be adjourned, but you must contact probation as soon as this hearing is over at that number I gave you and violate no laws. That's a standard condition, but I'm going to order that as well.
So I have time served on my sentence. I'm confused on the sentence. Okay, time served.
Your concurrent sentence is 8 months, but you're going to get credit for time served. So if you've been in since January 21st of 2026, you're getting pretty close. Oh, I'm doing that math all wrong, aren't I, Mr. Baca?
Yeah, I maybe close to 3 of the 8 months.
Yes, I'm sorry. I was thinking that this happened in 25, and then I happened to say, no, that's 26. Sorry to get your hopes up. Credit for time served. That'll come off the 8 months. So you will be on probation. Okay. So your credit for time served will come off the mandatory 5 days that you have to serve under the law. It will come off of the 6 months, or I'm sorry, the 8 months, and you will have to go on probation for the remainder of those months. If you violate that probation, then it can be revoked and you can have to serve the remainder of whatever is left after you take your time served off the 8 months.
I see.
Thought you gave me an interesting look, Mr. Baca, when I said you maxed it out.
No worries, Your Honor.
All right. So,
Get to it, Judge. Get to it.
Pelosa, you are to go now and call probation at that number I gave you. Do you still have it?
Yes, you got it right. Yes.
All right. So, Mr. Patterson, thank you for being standby.
Let's talk about the
Anything
warrant.
else? Yes, sir.
I just wanted to clarify. So he's got an 8 month underlying sentence.
All of the charges run concurrently for a total of 8 months maximum. Yes, 8 month sentence. Take away the credit for time served.
Okay.
And he's to be released on 12 months reporting probation.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you getting that, especially the way I botched the way I started. All right, everyone. Anything else?
Well, Your Honor, he has another case, his MR case, I believe it's
yes. Yes. We have to check that up. All right, Deputy, leave him here for a minute till I figure out what this is all about. Mr. Patterson, what's this about? I've got like 5 counts of duty of governor to arrest person charged who has fled from justice. Is that just extradition? Is that what that is?
Judge, I haven't seen that case. I don't even know if I was appointed. Maybe I was. I don't remember.
Well, the judge.
Can I say something?
If you dare, Mr. Patterson usually doesn't like his clients talking too much, but go ahead.
Well, you should have received a notice today. It was delivered to the court on that case. The case that's in question that has a warrant was defective, and there was no service done, so there was a no-show, so there was a bench warrant. But in the docket, which I have right here, shows by the clerk that there was no service. So that's a defective warrant, and that I've got currently a notice to the court judge, Ms. Casey, that it's defective, and she should be recalling that warrant that caused.
Well, it is a fugitive. It does look like an extradition. It looks like a fugitive warrant, Mr. Pelosa.
All right, let's sit on this for a second. He thinks the warrant is invalid because it wasn't served, but it's a fugitive warrant, which means he didn't show up for court, which means they couldn't have served him with the warrant because he's on the run. So basically his logic is he can't be arrested and extradited for a warrant because they couldn't find him to give him the warrant. If only that's how that went down. Like, if only that's how it went. Oh, I can just get away with not doing things if I just hide from my warrant forever. If I just move states, my warrant goes away because they can never serve me with the warrant. What logic is that? That's got to be one of the most ass-backwards things I've ever heard in my entire life. Also, you're in jail now. Congratulations. Here's the warrant. If you want service of the warrant, here's the warrant. You're in jail. You can't go anywhere. It's really easy to rectify this if that's the logic you want to use.
Let me pull up the complaint information in that. It says fugitive information. Mr. Regayer filed that as a fugitive information. Operating a vehicle on a highway without a valid license. Now, 2, owner operating moving vehicle without maintaining financial responsibility. I don't know if it doesn't say, okay.
Those are not extraditable. They're tickets, ma'am, and that's interesting.
I'm going to probably have to get Mr. Regier here to explain what he has filed. It looks like from the way he's worded this fugitive information, you have a warrant out of 6th Judicial Circuit in Platte County, Missouri, for operating a vehicle on a highway without a valid license, and he gives the case number. And then in count 2, he says a warrant was signed the same day, November 18th, 2022, in the same court for operating a motor vehicle without maintaining financial responsibility, and he gives a case number, which is a little bit different than the one in count 2. In count 3, he charges that on November 18th, 22, in the 6th Judicial Circuit.
All right, so let's do this. Weapons. I think you may have just missed it when I was talking about this. I said I can't wrap my head around the inner workings of a sovereign citizen brain, because it seems like there's always a fork in the road, where one is logic and common sense, and like that's the way things are done and should be done and are legally done, and then there's the tinfoil hat wearing nonsensical bullshit that sovereign citizens do, and that's the way they always pick the tinfoil hat side. That's the way they always pick. This is what I wanted to touch on. Those began as a traffic thing, but now they're warrants. And it seems like one of his warrants was for driving on a suspended license, which is a misdemeanor. And they're much more likely to extradite you from the state next to it than they are, let's say, if I was in Michigan and my warrant was from Hawaii. They might not extradite me to Hawaii for a suspended license. But if you're in the next county across the state line, they're probably going to do that. Yes, I think we did do a stream about that, Weapons. I think we did do a stream about that.
County, you're charged with displaying possession of a motor vehicle, TRL plates of another person, and case number, and it's a different case number. Count 4, he says on that same date, you in Missouri, same jurisdiction, you committed an offense against the laws of the state emergency of Missouri, failure to yield emergency vehicles sounding siren and displayed lights. And then in count 5, he gives yet another case number out of that jurisdiction, saying you failed to register your motor vehicles. In all my years, I don't recall ever seeing this type of charging document, but it to me looks like there must be a warrant out of Missouri somewhere wanting the fugitive return on a failure to appear. And I do see a note, February 6th, there was an extradition hearing, so let me take a look at the notes on that. Judge Lee presiding. Attorney Darren Patterson present via Zoom at a separate location. Defendant wishing to represent himself. And Mr. Patterson requested to withdraw, while the defendant's wanting to file his own motions. But then the defendant was not willing to represent himself with standby counsel. As you said, you don't want standby counsel. You were challenging the court's jurisdiction. So Judge Lee set it over to my docket for trial today. And Mr. Patterson ordered to be at the hearing as standby, with the bonds to continue. Case captioned 26 CR 25 and 26 MR 19. But counsel, without Mr. Regier here to say what this is, he doesn't make reference to a Missouri bond number, so we could advise the defendant that he has a right to file a motion for extradition. Do either of you, counsel, want to take a gander at what this is?
And Judge, I'm trying to pull it up, and I can't even pull up the MR case.
Oh, gosh. Do we know, Destiny, why he can't get that? Because it says he's appointed in that 26 MR 19.
Traffic tickets. There's traffic tickets, and there's one other case that I'm having them recall the warrant because it's defective. Warrant.
Sir, I understand.
Yeah, again, you can't say a warrant's defective because by nature, a warrant is only issued when you failed to do something. Like in your case, failed to appear. It's hard to give you something if you failed to appear. Throwing that out there again, you're in jail. Here's your warrant. You've been served with it. You've seen it. Congratulations. But again, they started as tickets, but one of them is driving on a suspended, which is a misdemeanor. So that's a real charge. And again, if you're across state lines, that may protect you from some things, but if it's within a certain mile radius, yeah, just bring him back. It's really that easy. And the fact that he's trying to hide out in a different state to get away from this, it's a real red flag about his credibility and character.
I understand that those appear to be Missouri cases. What I can't understand is why they're on my docket if they're Missouri cases.
Oh, no.
Unless
you noticed.
Taylor has a warrant for those cases in Missouri, and I need to be entitling you to extradition rights or allowing you to sign a waiver of extradition to go back voluntarily if you want to. So again, counsel, if you...
Judge, could I inquire what's the last digits on the MR? MR dash what?
19.
And Judge, I can, I think, give a bit more information when ready.
Okay, let's give Mr. Patterson
We're
a second
ready.
to call that up.
We're ready.
Did you get it?
I was able to pull that up now. Yes. Thank you, Judge.
Okay, now, if you want to take a look at that and tell me if you've ever seen it filed like that. Maybe that's the way it should be, but it's not what I'm used to seeing. All right, Mr. Baca, you had something else you wanted to say while he's looking at that?
Your Honor, it's not much more than the complaint or information you're looking at, but we do have a copy of a warrant for arrest from Missouri in our documents as well. And it does look like it covers a couple different cases. So I can at least answer the question that I do believe Platte County, Missouri does have a warrant for his arrest for failure to appear on those cases.
All right.
And as you know, Judge, on a lot of these, if it's a misdemeanor, they're not usually they won't come and get them in a different state generally. So that's what I was trying to look on here. Is it even extraditable?
It's the fact of the matter is the other state wants him extradited. So clearly the other state has already gone through the process of trying to get him extradited back to the state. They said, I believe it was February 26th, they had an extradition hearing. It seems like the state wants him pretty bad. That's just the way I'm reading into this. Again, it's driving on a suspended. So it's a real charge. And if he's right across state lines, yes, bring him back. Bring him back.
Yeah, I see where you're questioning that.
The ticket.
Well, here's the deal, Mr. Pelosa. I'm going to set this over just a little bit, just to kind of, do you want an attorney? Do you want Mr. Patterson to represent you on this? You can have an attorney on an extradition. Or do you want to just sign your waiver and go back voluntarily?
Well, when would I go back?
Well, that's a good question. I don't want you going back until you've at least gotten on probation in this case. So you need to call your probation officer like I told you to.
Well, then I won't sign the waiver because by time my paperwork gets in to recall the warrant, it'll recall the warrant, and that warrant will be recalled, and I won't have to be extradited.
All right. So do you want an attorney or not?
If Mr. Patterson wants to continue on, I guess so, because it's an easy deal there. It's just getting it recalled, and I can show him the evidence. I have already got one in front of Judge Casey in Platte County that the case is
Hold on. Well, I don't know that it's an easy deal or not. Getting any case dismissed can be a challenge sometimes. But Mr. Patterson, do you want to represent him on this?
Judge, if the court would appoint me on it, I will accept the appointment and represent him.
All right. You will be appointed on this MR case, which is an extradition. And so
I would just ask that a formal appointment be filed, and
that's what I was getting ready to say also, that we need to get an order appointing out to him, Destiny, on this case. It has 5 counts. It's one case though. It says he's been appointed, but let's make sure he does actually get an actual order appointing. And then let's set this for a review date. And we'll do that on a Monday morning, Mr. Patterson.
Judge, yes, and I would just ask that we set it as soon as possible. This might be the only thing holding him in jail at this point.
Okay, Your Honor, we can actually put him on the Monday misdemeanor control at 9 a.m. March 30th. So just next Monday.
Monday, oh man, it's hard to believe Monday is March 30th at 9 a.m. How about that, Mr. Patterson?
That'll work. I'll get out there to the jail and talk with Mr. Pelosa, and we can be prepared.
Sounds good, Mr.
So like I said, this happened 11 days ago. So he's already seen whoever he's trying to see for this. That's not very long. So Regier must have been done charging. He, I don't know, Roomba'd his way back to court to figure this out. But the fact that this guy, I'm still, again, I'm trying to add logic where something's illogical. The warrant I wasn't served with the warrant. The fact that it's a warrant, if you were served with the warrant, they would have just arrested you when they served you the warrant, right? It's not like it's a lawsuit where it's like, hey, here's this, there's a date on it, show up to court. No, a warrant is, okay, cool, we're going to arrest you to take you back to court. So this whole service of a warrant thing is very strange to me, especially for someone who's in jail.
Baca, are you going to have Mr. Regier back by the end?
Yes, he should be back by this Friday.
You might let him know that he needs to be on top of that and figure out what in the world's going on. I think we've got it figured out, but since he filed it, he can. Thank you all, and Mr. Pelosa. For now, you're remanded to the custody of the sheriff unless they decide otherwise when they do the math on your sentence. But you're still going to have to be held on this one, Deputy. He's to hold him on this one until Monday, March 30th at 9 a.m. so we can make sure we don't let him go when Missouri's got a valid warrant. If it is valid, we'll find that out.
I got a question. Can I ask a question?
Sure.
If the warrant on the one case that's holding me gets recalled, then what happens?
Well, if you can get them recalled on all these charges, it would go away. But just taking one of the cases away isn't going to make them all go away.
Well, the traffic tickets are not extraditable.
All right, well, talk to Mr. Patterson. He knows all that stuff very well, so respect his knowledge of Kansas law.
Respect his authority.
Experience of Kansas law, and let him help you work on that.
Okay.
All right.
All right, guys, that's the video. Ed is glad Judge Webster did something with her hair. He doesn't like it, but at least it's something. That's where we're at. That's where we're at with this. All right, I'm going to go try to find a video to play tonight. Maybe. Or something like that. But again, because I just released a video over here, what is it? An hour ago. Let me make myself smaller so you guys can see it. Reading the Room. The link will probably be somewhere if somebody can drop that link to Reading the Room. It's really easy to find now that I added KFARR's Reading the Room. Seems to be doing much better when it comes to views now that that's added. Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, Warhammer 40K, random movie, TV show news. Go subscribe to that if you're into that kind of thing. But that's the video. I'm off to go toil in the fields of YouTube trying to gather a video for you guys to watch at 5 o'clock. If there's nothing at 5:30 or 5 o'clock, it's because I didn't find a video. I was out there struggling in the fields and there was nothing. But that is it. Everybody have a good rest of your day. Hopefully I'll see you later, but no promises. Have a good rest of your day, guys. Bye.
You're still here? It's over. Go home.